Yeah, sorry about that. My dog was getting rambunctious. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna have to do the last speech sin. I have to read off my computer because the printer's not working right now. Okay, what do we have here? Some more speech sins. These are the outline ones. Appearing to have no outline or forethought. We already discussed that. Overlapping main points. That's when you would talk about something in point one, and then instead of reflecting, as we discussed earlier, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like you're making the same point over again more than once, and that's sort of beastly and hellish and all that stuff. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, yes. Main points unclear. This is a big problem. When let's say I close my eyes and I'm listening to your speech, if I cannot identify what your main points are, like without looking at your outline, if it's like, I don't want to say that they shouldn't flow together, but they should flow connected by those transitions. They shouldn't be, oh, well, also there's this, and also there's that. We should know, okay, I'm going to talk to you today about the delivery of your speeches, the outline of your speeches, and the video of your speeches. First, let's look at the outline. Blah, 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 blah. Now, apart from the outline, there's also delivery. Blah, 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 blah. And then, finally, there's blah, blah. See, those were, there's a demarcation, there's a point of demarcation. Like, have you ever seen someone who's wearing makeup that's like 4 shades too dark or too light for their skin? Then it's like a line, it's like a mask. Okay, well, that's a demarcation. We want to demarcate. If you have a roommate and you're like, okay, this string on the floor is no man's, just don't even cross the line. That's what we're talking about, demarcation. And you need to demarcate where is point 1, point 2, and point 3, etc. Well, you would only have 3 for yours. Okay, what else do we have? And by the way, see how I'm like, when I'm reading the thing, doesn't that look beastly when I'm looking at the camera? I mean, I'm like reading from the screen and stuff. Okay, but you should be looking at your audience members. Okay, being redundant, it's like all 3 main points are the main point. This is a problem when people don't have an outline, but they have like 1 or 2 ideas in their head, and they keep sort of flowing back and forth from one and the other. In most speeches, you really want to have that clear thing. Now, if you're in a best man speech, you don't say, I love my best friend because she's always there and she's friendly and she's nice. Now, the first point, I mean, okay, for a sort of talking informal speech, that's fine to not do that. And it's, in fact, in your best interest to sound so conversational that you don't have that outline thing. You do have to have your intro, you do have to have your conclusion. But, oh, that reminds me, not following your outline, veering into persuasive speech territory, and most of all, the worst thing in the whole world is people who either don't have an intro and or conclusion, or they say, oh, like they basically put their first point in the introduction, and your first point should not be in your introduction. You can sort of hint at it, be like, now we're going to be talking about delivery and outline and X, Y, and Z. Now, blah, 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 whatever, and you establish why it's important. The intro, and this is where the people in the hybrid class got to hear about this more, so that's why I'm saying it now. Your intro should establish your competence and credibility. This is straight from your book. It should, in the first 30 seconds, by the way, if it's a short speech, in the first 30 seconds say, okay, I have a degree in this, I've been working in this, I have, what's the other one? I've been interested in it, or even if you don't have an interest, maybe you just sort of heard about it. Maybe it's, well, I've heard about wakeboarding recently, and it's a very interesting sport to me, so I've done some research, and I will present it to you now. That's fine. You're establishing, okay, maybe I don't have a million years experience, maybe I don't have a PhD in the subject, but at the very least, it's something I have done research on. And that brings me to another thing, which is verbal sources. You have to tell us at least 3 things in your speech. You have to have 3 sources, and then you have to tell, like, as Time magazine said in their March 1974 issue, George Bush has dark hair, or whatever. So you're citing where you got that information from. Even if now Wikipedia, I normally don't endorse. If you're really hurting for sources, you can put one source as Wikipedia, but you can't have like 1,500, like John's homepage and Mike's brother's homepage. You have to have official sources, the American Psychological Association or the Mothers Against Drinking and Driving. Look at your book where it says about sources. You have accuracy. You have how do you verify it? Hard evidence versus soft evidence. Primary versus secondary. Did you interview the person, or did someone else interview and you're just citing their interview? Then you wouldn't cite. If I was interviewing George Bush and you were citing me, no, if you were citing him because you talked to him, you'd say Bush. But if you were talking, say, oh, I'm citing Dr. B, then you would say Bishai, comma, S dot, and then parenthesis, 2000 and whenever, close parenthesis, period. Then you would say the name of the interview. Let's say I put it in like XYZ magazine. Then you put that there. Well, first you put the title of the article, and then you put XYZ magazine, italicized, and then you say the press, the publishing company. So that's called APA style. Make sure to look it up because you are getting points off if your bibliography is beastly, and you do need to have an attached, not attached, but right below your outline, you need to have your bibliography as well, as your book states. So what else were we talking about? Delivery, outlines, intro, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so the intro needs to establish your competence and credibility. It needs to give us a preview of what you're talking about in the speech. Like in the Navy, someone I used to know in the Navy said, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And that's what you're going for. You're going to tell us what you're telling us, or what you're about to tell us. So like if you've ever seen Home Shopping Network, HSN, or QVC, oh, we have a wonderful hour today. We're going to be talking about sapphires, stunning, scintillating sapphires. First, we're going to talk about earrings. Next, after that, we're going to look at bracelets. And finally, we're going to look at this lavish necklace that's on today's special for only $9.99. Wait, $9 or $9.90? Well, whatever. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is that you need to give us a boom, 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 1, 2, 3. This is what we're talking about in the speech. And you don't sort of delve into it and define it, because then, again, your intro starts becoming a main point. First main point, or whatever. It becomes bloated, and it's like a 4-minute intro, and then you have 2 seconds to actually talk about your main points. So, conclusion. You should always have a conclusion, and may I tell you that, and that's it, or and that's all, is never, 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 never an acceptable conclusion in the whole world. And if someone tells you it is, then I want you to take them and, like, whoop them for me. Or, like, hold until I get there, and then I'll do the whoopage then. But, so yeah, so intro, conclusion, transitions. I need to know, okay, this first point is finished, now let's move to the next one. You don't have to say, now let's move to the next point. You don't have to use the word point. You don't have to say, in conclusion, and make it so I am giving a speech. That's sort of something that people in high school can do because they don't have experience, but you have a lot of experience writing a speech because you speak every single day. Every time you have a conversation with your friends and they say, let's go to the Olive Garden, you're like, no, 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 let's go to the movie instead. Oh no, let's go to Taco Bell. So you're fighting between a sit-down restaurant and a cinema, like not restaurant, and a fast food restaurant. So what's happening here, you are actually persuading them. You're saying my logic, I mean, you're not saying my logic for this is because X, Y, and Z. You're saying we don't have enough time. If we're going to do this and this, we really need to go there. Or we're on a budget. We need to save money. Let's just buy some food from Publix and go home. Or whatever it is and cook at home. So that is considered public speaking. So, okay, I won't belabor that point. But, so, I mean, those are really the major issues that I noticed. Let me check and see my famous list here. Okay, delivery, we have and you know, like, etc. Forgetting to cite things in your outline. Okay, the rhythmic and you know, it's like, we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah today. Blah, 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 and blah. Blah, blah, blah. See how it's like you can set your watch every time the person takes a breath, every time the person goes to the next point, they say, or like, or you know, or whatever. And you can set your watch by it, and it's just beastly. Stranger, unnatural gestures. I'm going by the list on your blackboard, on your Georgia View little trusty announcement box, by the way. Voice not loud enough. Sometimes other sounds, whether it's the grass cutter outside or the fan or whatever it is, sometimes it would drown out your voice, and then I couldn't hear you properly, even with my bionic ear. Speaking too quickly. Right now I'm speaking way too quickly because I'm looking at the clock and it says 9.14 seconds and YouTube limits you to 10, and I really don't want to start another video because then it'll go to another 40 minutes or something, which I couldn't upload anyway. Okay, speak too quickly because then you can't understand what's happening and okay, that's fine when you're talking to your friends, but it's not in the speech. You don't have to fit 20 pages into your 5 minutes or 6 minutes and speak quickly to do that. It's better to have your 2 points, 3 points, and do it well. And don't speak too slowly because then it's obvious that, I mean, if you speak slowly, that's one thing. If you're reading and you want to have dramatic pauses, that's fine. But you don't have to be so slow like a turtle that will end up taking 5 minutes for one paragraph, because I'm wise to that.